Welcome to Home Connection's 2012 school year.
It is HC's 15th year since beginning last century. I am Josiah Walsh.
Hi, I'm Renee Ross. We are your guides for this informational video. We will have this video up on the Home Connection website instead of having the required parent meeting.
I think we're better looking in person though.
Our agenda is...
Home Connection is the PPP, or Parent Partnership Program, of the Oak Harbor School District. What's going on in the world of PPPs these days? Is the state still talking about shutting PPPs down? Renee will interview Mr. Mao and we'll hear what's needed to keep a pulse in somewhat challenging times.
It's coming, provided by our HC Booster Club. You and your kids are invited to City Beach on September 7th from 1 to 3 p.m.
Ms. Grahan will address this. She will also explain FST and its role in HC.
Folks used to call this stipend. Well, most people still do. It is technically called allocation, and we'll talk about its use.
Wait a minute, Renee. Grade 9 through 12 students? That's us. There is a requirement which PPPs previously got to ignore, but the state now insists we follow. Just like all other high school students, grade 9 through 12 students and their families will need to pay close attention to this.
Certificated teacher contact continues as a requirement, which we'll explain.
Interspersed throughout this video will be a handful of HC parents who are going to share a website that has been very beneficial for their children's education. Elementary parents will want to pay close attention to these great sites.
Monthly reviews continue to be an important requirement with some new twists, and will be explained.
I always pay attention when Miss Darlis and Miss Glenda talk. Sometimes I salute.
Families complete these each year. Mr. Mao will walk a parent through doing so, covering what is new with these.
When students are in middle school, or before, we need to begin planning for our future. Credits, diplomas, tests, colleges, applications for admission and scholarships. This will help. Pay attention those in grades 7 on up.
It isn't often we have a national champ on campus. We do now, and we'll hear from her.
If there's anything Renee and I have learned in our many years of living, it is that things can change.
This video contains HC's best understanding of what we need to do to keep HC sailing smoothly along. Could the information given here change? We all know the answer to that. When the state or district talked about shutting down parent partnership programs and Home Connection, I didn't really like that. And Carla and I were talking about it, and we're like, our life would be changed so much if that happened. And then we were like in 6th grade or so we're like we would go to like the elementary school or like the Christian school, and like those are good schools, but I like Home Connection, and so does Carla, and we wanted to stay here for a while. And then if it closed down, it would like really drastically change my family and everything. So yeah. So what makes you say PPPs are under scrutiny and pressure, and what's going on with that?
You know, as we look around today at parent partnership programs, you see parent partnership programs that have shut down, and there were many a year ago, and there are some more this year that have closed doors. Funding has been taken away from parent partnership programs. We lost well over $100,000 worth of funding, and that is a lot of money. PPPs have been audited left and right by the state this year. PPPs that have never seen a state auditor have been audited this year. Many of them have. It is just no secret. It is very commonly known in parent partnership programs that state scrutiny, state looking at what we're doing and looking carefully, it's clearly on the rise.
Do you feel that the state's expectations are reasonable or not really?
You know, Renee, many of those expectations I think are reasonable. Many of them do make sense. The simple fact is that they're putting about $40 million a year into parent partnership programs, into students like you and students like Josiah. $40 million a year, I'm sorry, but that equates to some accountability. Accountability to spend money well, accountability to do academically well, And that just makes sense. Many PPPs over the years have fallen very far short of reasonable spending and reasonable accountability. And because of that, the state has had to act. And so what happens is that the ones who've done poorly, as well as the ones that have done well, like we have, everybody gets squeezed together. And right now we're getting a bit squeezed.
Do you see that state scrutiny going away?
No, I don't.
So is this talk about staying alive and like the scrutiny from the state and everything, is that real or is it just hype?
Renee, I guess the programs to ask that of would be Coupeville and Anacortes, and a number of other parent partnership programs that have closed down a year ago, plus the ones that shut down this year, and there were a number of those as well. In addition, a number of programs that used to be kindergarten through 12th grade like we are now just K-8 programs. They have completely shut down their high school. I was in a meeting about a month ago with the administrator of a large program, of the large parent partnership program in Seattle, as well as many other administrators, and that administrator explained to me the audit that they had just gone through. They didn't follow all the rules. They made some mistakes. They did some things wrong. There's some I's they didn't dot and T's they didn't cross. When their audit was done, the state auditor sat down with the superintendent and the administrator of the PPP and others, and their initial estimated fine for the paperwork and the things that they did wrong was $1.6 million. They may get it cut down below that. They may be able to talk their way out of part of that, but they will have a huge fine. A fine that would end Home Connection is what they will get when their audit is done. So it's not a joke. $10 and $20 and $120 and $200 and $400,000 fines have been common, and that's why programs are closing down. To think it's hype, to think it's a joke, to think it's something that, I as the principal am making up, it's just not so.
What does HC need to do to stay alive and offer classes from K through 12th grade?
To stay alive and to keep serving families as we do now, I don't think it's complicated. I think we need to simply follow the rules. We need to do things correctly. We need to do things well. We need to do things on time. We have to avoid fines, such as some of the programs have been given. And when families don't, if a family thinks that they're too busy to do the things that they need to do, there's not that many, but if they're too busy, we simply need to dismiss that family. We need to say to them, thanks, we'd love to help you, but we're not going to gamble everybody's education and everybody's school on you not completing your paperwork well, on you not completing your paperwork on time. So we care about these people. We care about our families. But if a family's not doing things correctly and not doing them well, we simply have to say, we love you, but it's just time to say goodbye. And when you're ready to do that part correctly, we'd love to have you back. But we can't gamble everybody's education and everybody's school on you not doing your paperwork correctly.
What is it like to be audited?
That's not fun. Renee, that lady sat, well actually, literally, she sat right there. I could have touched the back of her neck by going like this. She was that close to me. She said, pull open wings. I opened up wings. She just picked the name of a student out of a hat. It's just totally at random. She said, open them up. I want to see the monthly reviews. I want to see the WSLP. I want to see that they're done and that they're done reasonably well. Did she read them word for word? No. But the dates that things were in by and whether or not they were completed on time and looked, very scattered, very quick, but were they done reasonably? Yes. And if they weren't, then we looked closely. If the dates weren't followed, we looked closely, and she wanted to know why, and she wanted to know what was up. Not being able to answer her questions at that point in time is not good. That's when the dollar signs start clicking and the potential fines start racking up. So that is the situation we have to avoid, and audits are not pleasant. Little drops of sweat, I could feel them starting to form. It's really not pleasant.
Is it really possible that our 9th through 12th grade, our whole schooling on that would go away just that quick?
Renee, Home Connection this year, best guess, will have about 250 students. A parent partnership program close to us, north of us a little ways, last year had just over 200 kids in high school, 200 enrolled high school students. As a result of school board action, due to some of the rules and regs, due to some of the state scrutiny, due to the potential fines, their school board shut that program down. So there are 200 plus high school kids, as well as teachers and advisors, who don't have a job, who don't have a school, who suddenly have no plans for next year and are scrambling very quickly and very fast. No, it's not a joke, it's not pretend, it's not fake to think that high school education for parent partnership programs is in jeopardy. We'll do things correctly. We're going to be here. We're going to have it. But know that we have to do things correctly.
What do you honestly think the HC's future is going to be?
Oh, there's certainly reasons. I mean, a person could look at this and say it's kind of depressing. I would understand why somebody would say that. On the other hand, we've been here, as said earlier in this video, this is year number 15. We have strong school district support, strong superintendent and assistant superintendent support. I believe in the people of Home Connection. I believe in the program of the school. I just think we're doing great stuff here, and there's a lot of evidence that would point to that fact. So as long as we keep doing paperwork and dotting our I's and crossing our T's and doing things right, there's not that many of those things that we have to do. As long as we keep doing them well, I firmly believe that we will be here, functioning, just like we are now, and serving the families of our communities, and happily doing so.
Let's just keep this school going for at least 2 more years.
Renee, I appreciate that. You got 9th grade and 10th grade here and then Running Start, and I'm sure that we'll be around, and I'm sure that's not a problem. To be honest with you though, I'm thinking a little bit more about the kids in K and 1 and 2. I mean, I had a family recently email me and say how good they feel about knowing that those age children in their family have got Home Connection Middle School and Home Connection High School offerings and Running Start to look forward to. And it's those people and keeping those alive and well for them that I think about, quite frankly, a lot. So we're going to be here.
The Home Connection Back to School Ice Cream Social is being held at City Beach on September 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. It's being sponsored by the Home Connection Booster Club, and you are invited.
This is what not to wear at Home Connection. Dress and appearance must not present health or safety problems or cause disruption. Students and adults are expected to come to school or school activities well groomed and neatly and appropriately dressed. All students must wear shoes. Clothing that carries a sexual, vulgar, or offensive message or references the use of alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or gang affiliation will not be permitted. Suggestive clothing such as bare midriff, short skirts, spaghetti straps, exposed undergarments, or crack showing are not permitted. Individual teachers, in consultation with the school principal, Mr. Mao, may restrict appearance and attire with special consideration for safety and health issues. The principal may interpret these standards or make changes to the above dress code at any time for safety, health, or disruption reasons. This concludes what not to wear at Home Connection.
Our family has recently discovered Khan Academy. They have a broad range of subjects that they cover on this website, but our family uses it mostly for math. They're growing, they're constantly adding new content and lectures and learning possibilities, but our family, like I said, mostly concentrates on the math portion of their website. It's an amazing site, and they are growing, and they believe that the future of education looks a lot like this.
Khan Academy covers kindergarten through college grade math.
We use Khan as a supplement to our math, but it could be used as a primary program. We use it to review and reinforce, and if we need to have a topic explained in a different way.
We listen to lectures, we practice and drill, and through speed and accuracy you advance.
We like it better than Saxon.
And I love Saxon.
Sai, what are you doing?
Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? Miss
What are you doing?
Oh my gosh. Miss Dollar said $300 each kid. There's 10 kids in my family. 300 times 10 is that's a lot of money.
Hey, going off the first thing you said, it's not stipend, it's allocation.
I don't know what it is, but I got money and I don't care what it's called. Look at this. Shotgun in my hand right now.
You can't even have shotgun at school.
Well, paintball gun. That would be a great PE class.
Can't have that at school either, but
Well, it would be fun.
anyway, it has to be on your student learning plan, which I'm pretty dang sure the shotgun is not on your student learning plan.
Well, I can, with this much money, I can pay for it to be on my student learning plan.
You don't even get the $300 in your hands at a time. So you don't get to spend it on what you want to spend it on. You have to look on your student learning plan and see what it thinks you need. And it's less for part-time kids, so like Caleb wouldn't even get any because he's too old.
Well, he doesn't need it. I'll take his.
He doesn't, you don't get any at all, period. Those $300 are gone.
No. I want it in my hand right now, so it's in my hand.
It's tax dollars for OHSD, and
Well,
the auditors check what you spend it on. So if you spend it on a shotgun, it would get us in big trouble. That's what got us in trouble last time. People spending it on whatever they thought they wanted.
well, it's better than nothing.
Okay, so you have to even put it, you have to send in, there's these blue forms, and you have to send in what you need, not a shotgun, what you need, and then Ms. Starless will check it and stuff, and it has to be turned in by April 30th. So, April 30th. What's the final date?
April 30th.
Thank you.
Daniel's, Abigail's.
Would you listen to
Joseph's.
anything I'm saying?
You know what? No.
So I'm taking this all away from you.
No! Hey, what are you guys doing?
Looking at classes on Wings for the first time.
Hey, that's a good question. What are you guys doing?
We're looking at our schedule and seeing what extra classes we want to take next fall.
Oh, extra classes. Now, what are the regular classes you're taking, Linnea?
Like normal high school credit classes,
For example.
history, science,
Okay, and Linnea, what are the extra classes you were going to take?
chess.
Renee, extra class?
Choir and tumbling.
Saya?
Flag football.
Well, maybe now is as good a time as any to tell you this, but, well, let me put it to you this way. Any student in a regular school in this state that takes a class, can they take any classes that are not for credit?
I don't think they offer any that are credit.
You're right. They don't even offer any that are. So, is it fair that Home Connection high school kids should be able to take classes that are not for credit?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Suffice it to say that the state is looking at possibly saying that we should have to live by the same rules that they live by, and that if you're going to take classes, they have to be for credit. So what does that do to flag football?
I can't really do it unless it changes it to a core class for PE.
Yeah, so is there any way that we could change that to a credit class, flag football?
Yes, sir.
That may be true. Renee, how about your tumbling class? Is there any way that we could change that to a PE class and have it be for credit?
Yeah, I guess so.
How about choir?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Linnea, how about chess?
I don't think so.
You know, Linnea, I think you're right. I don't think that a class like chess would be any longer available. I don't know how we could make that for credit. So right now, we don't know for sure what the state's going to do with this. We don't know exactly which way this is going to go. But again, it's a very real discussion. And large parent partnership programs have closed down their high school programs. 200 kids, shut them down because of this specific issue. We think that there's ways to work around it. And we've talked about some of those now, and we'll talk about more of them as the year gets started. But be aware that there may be more news coming about this, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens to these high school kids taking classes that we normally would call enrichment classes. We may have to work pretty hard at that, and some of them may go away.
That's not really fair, is it?
Well, I think it's fair. If other kids have to have it that way, then we should too.
I always thought that we were a little different, that we could take classes that we wanted more than needed sometimes.
Well, Renee, you are a little different. There's no doubt about that. But there may be a limit to our differentness. I guess that's what I'd say.
Hey, Dad.
Oh, hey, Renee, what's going on?
Nothing really. I just got back from the school because I was hanging out with Mr. Mao and stuff.
Yeah.
And he kept talking about a certificate instructor. What? He said I needed it for something. I don't know what he's talking about. So what is he talking about?
At school. Well, there's a rule we got to follow that every student has to have a 1-hour contact a week with a certified instructor. So you can either do that with through taking a class with a certified instructor, and or you can sign up for a study hall. We have study halls twice a day, 9:30 and at 1 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you would just register for that class on Wings like you normally would take a class, and you show up for the class and sit in the library and do some work, read, and one of the certified teachers will come by and talk to you for a little bit about how things are going.
Okay, so you just like sign up like any other class? You just go on Wings and it'll be there?
Yeah, twice a week, twice a day. There's 9:30 and 1. There's classes you can sign up for, and it's just kind of come on in the library and you sign in and sit in there for an hour, and that counts as a contact for a certified teacher.
Can't you just sign in and leave?
Well, yeah, I guess you could. You could probably have somebody else sign in for you too, but we're hoping that people would be honest and show up and stay there for their hour.
So it's just like any other class, you just show up and then you just do, like, you can just do your homework and stuff?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's no big deal. They just bring in your math that you're doing or whatever you need to do. It's just pretty low key, it's under one of those rules you got to follow with the state, making sure. There was some problems with some of the programs not even seeing the kids ever. They would sign up for the program and they'd just be 100 miles away from the campus and they'd never see them. So the state got concerned that teachers would meet with kids, so they made that rule.
How do you know who the certified teachers are?
Yeah, I think they're marked in Wings with a star next to their name. So it's Mr. Mao, Mr. Hall, me, myself, Mrs. Federighi, Mrs. Byes, Mr. Norman, Mrs. Frederick, and probably a few others. But when you sign up for a class, you'll know if they're certified or not on Wings. And
do I have a certified teacher?
yeah, most core kids have a certified already because they're in a core class with Mr. Norman, Mrs. Federighi, Mr. Mao for history or something like that. Mrs. Zilster, I think.
Oh yeah.
She has math, and so if you take her class, you're pretty good to go.
Oh, okay.
Does that answer it?
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, I think you're okay with Mrs. Federighi.
Yeah,
All right.
and Missy, and yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, see ya.
Okay, hi, I'm Julie Krantz.
I'm Nick Krantz.
I got a color to you. Holy cow, you're up on something. All right, we're here to talk to you about one of our favorite websites, which is called softschools.com. Softschools.com. It is a website a teacher friend of mine told me about, and it is from pre-K through the middle school years. If you pull up the website, you'll see a whole list of things that it does. It's a pretty all-encompassing website. There's math, handwriting, language arts, social studies, lots and lots of games, games within each category. Science, lots of quizzes, online quizzes you can take, like in math or grammar or science. There are two online calculators that I think will come in handy in the future, one for probability and one for trigonometry. There may be others, but you could take lots of history quizzes. You can learn flags of the worlds in a game. Science has lots of sections on rocks, earth science, anatomy, biology, plenty more. But my actual favorite part is the math section. You can go into an age group, or you can just go into worksheets. It's the one I probably use the most. You can get it grade appropriate. You can make adding and subtracting anything you want, polynomials someday. There are factor trees. We've used factor trees a lot. We've worked on fractions, statistics, geometry. You could learn Roman numerals. My favorite part about the worksheets is that you can put a lot or a very little on a worksheet. You can create it to be just what your child needs. And it's a pretty awesome little worksheet spot, and apparently this is pretty funny. So go to softschools.com, check it out. It's a free website, or you can subscribe to it free also, and it will expand it a bit.
Hey,
Oh, hey, what's happening, Renee?
what are you doing?
Oh, some of these kids didn't get their monthly reviews done yet, and I just have to send them a little reminder that it's due here early in the month, 7th of the month, but they didn't really do them on time, you know.
Well, it's not the kid's job, it's the parent's job.
Well, you know, actually kids are encouraged to do it either by themselves or with their parent, because it's kind of the kid that's doing a lot of the work. You know, if they're younger, of course, the parents are going to be doing a lot of the reviews, but, you know, middle school, high school kids are younger, of course, the parents are going to do most of the writing, but the kids are encouraged to sit with their parents and talk about what they've been doing for the month.
Oh, like what Mom and I do?
Yeah, if they're older, middle school, high school, they can, a lot of it they can do themselves. Like this student right here pretty much wrote this all themselves. So we give them the first of each month to complete the reviews. So for example, from October 1st to October 7th, November 1st through November 7th, we try our best to remind people through the weekly bulletin or email reminders. A lot of the advisors send out reminders, you know, if the family didn't get it done. And if they're not done by the 7th of each month, even with the reminders, we got to take them off the roll of Home Connection.
Just because they didn't finish their reviews?
Yeah, it's a really important thing, especially with the state and the audits that are going on. Some programs have been fined quite a bit of money because they weren't keeping up with the records, and it's just one of the things that they are checking to make sure schools are doing it correctly. And we can't risk being shut down just because a few families don't get their reviews done or get them done on time.
What do you put in the reviews? Like,
it's just an update of the progress, what you've been doing in your classes and what you've been doing at home as far as your learning goes. High school kids could actually be dismissed from classes. That would really mess up their, maybe possibly their graduation and their transcript. You know, if you don't do your review for algebra, for example, and you're taken out of algebra for not doing your review, that could really mess up your course schedule and everything. The reviews don't have to be long. They just have to look like they've covered 20 days of the content from the previous month. So if you did a paper, if you learned about Lewis and Clark or whatever, you just record what you did during those 20 days of previous month. And as a rule, parents should put all off-site classes are completed only for the month of June. At the end of the year, they say there's a little pull-down box that says this class is completed, but for the other months, just leave it like this is an ongoing class. What if kids can't type?
You said that. Alright. I'm done.
Well, okay. Well, alright. Well, good luck, Dad. Why don't you do an exit right now, okay?
What?
Do an exit. Try to get out of the...
Oh, okay. I was just going to... Never mind. Alright. Okay, thanks, Dad. I'll do my reviews.
Yeah, just the 1st through the 7th, and it's really important that you get them done here. We're the 5th of the month right now, and I probably have 10 reviews that aren't complete yet, so I'm sending out an email reminder through Wings, and they have till the 7th to get them done. So I hope they do it.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Megan LeMay. Miss Starless and Miss Glenda have asked me to be their spokesperson. Now, I'm very shy, but I agreed. Okay, so I'm not shy. Anyway, here are their top 10 pointers of the school year. Doing these things will be very appreciated by our wonderful office staff. They are: 1. Twice a year, families complete a survey, which decides which classes HC offers first and second semesters. After turning in your survey on time, families draw a lottery number. The weekly bulletin carries the dates. Turning them in on time is wonderful and needed. 2. HC credit and MS core classes haven't had limited enrollment or been closed before. Enrollment in several of these classes is getting high. To get into these classes, we strongly recommend getting a lottery number and enrolling both semesters on time. If some of these classes are filled and closed, and your child is not signed into them on Wings, that is not good. Please do so. 3. Student ID cards. You must get these from our picture-taking company. To do so, show up at either the regular picture day or the picture retake day, and ask for help in getting a student ID card. Some companies also provide teacher ID cards. If a parent wants one of these, that may be possible. Come to one of the picture-taking days and ask. 4. Please remember that our office staff is not involved in any Coupeville or Oak Harbor High School dances, sports, or other extracurricular activities, any more than their staff is involved in ours. If any students want to participate in any of those schools' events, those students need to be the ones to get information and meet deadlines. 5. Many HC families are residents of Coupeville, Anacortes, and South Whidbey school districts. If any of your students plan to transfer to any of those schools in those districts, or other schools of the Oak Harbor School District, those arrangements need to be made by the families. You need to find out when meetings are held, what paperwork is due and when how and when the registration for classes is done, etc. Number 6, Miss Gloria, our amazing custodian. It closes and locks school doors at 4 p.m. They open at 8 a.m. Parents and students can be in the building outside of those hours. If Miss Glenda, Miss Starless, Mr. Hall, Mr. Ross, or Mr. Mao is there and responsible for you. That is often very arrangeable if they are asked. Thank you. 7. The final day for getting allocation purchase orders into your advisor is April 30th. 8. The standard turnaround time for purchase orders is 1 to 2 weeks. Please keep that in mind when you fill them out. 9. For K through 6 students to be at HC without a parent there, a designated parent needs to be noted on the form just inside the office on the left. Otherwise, there has to be a parent on site. 10. Please call the office when your child will be absent, unless it's been prearranged already. Okay, now for your bonus, number 11. To know what's going on at HC, read the weekly bulletin. Please check and empty your family mailbox at least once a week. Know that we appreciate your kind help on these little but very important details. Thank you.
Good morning, Mrs. Brindley.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you for being willing to sit down and start this process being taped at the same time. That's good of you. You're in the middle of your 90 days, so we cannot go on to your family site and choose your daughter, Lily. So we're going to go in and work on creation of a written student learning plan and the basics of how to do that by using actually Josiah's site. And it's been a while since he's taken first grade courses, but we'll go create one or two for Josiah.
Okay.
So the basics of the written student learning plan are that we have to do them. It's a requirement of law. It always has been. And we need to do them reasonably correctly. If we don't, it can be expensive, it can be costly, it's not difficult, it's not hugely time consuming. It can be a good deal of cutting and pasting, which is always nice, but they need to be done correctly.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So your daughter is Lily, and she is in first grade.
Yes.
And I'm going to go in as me. Maybe. All right. And I'm going to go to find a student because I want to locate Josiah. And there's Josiah. And so every parent, when they want to create their student learning plan, they will go and they will choose their student. I can't choose Josiah because he's not my student, he's not my son, okay? But we're in Josiah, and then they will go to add off-site class. On-site classes are the classes that are at Home Connection that are on our schedule of Home Connection classes. Those classes also have to follow the same pattern that we're using for off-site classes, by the way.
Okay.
The same format that we use for off-site classes, on-site classes use. But we're going to add off-site classes, and this is all just pretend because Josiah really doesn't want.
So for the on-site classes, the teacher who teaches it takes care of all this, correct?
Exactly correct.
Okay.
Well asked. And when you sign up for that class, that work that that teacher created, that course description, all the activities, all the things that describe that class, when you sign up for it, it just automatically becomes part of your student learning plan.
Okay.
But for the classes you teach at home, it doesn't automatically do that. So we need to create that, and that's what this is all about, okay? Now, the very first step that we talked about, and I think you and I have talked about this previously, and if not, that's fine, but the very first step to doing this really is even before we do this, we have to do something. And that is we have to decide what FTE, or whether your daughter Lily is a full-time student or a part-time student and all of that. Have we had that discussion?
We have had that discussion.
Okay.
And I haven't decided how much of what I'm going to do. I plan to teach her as a full-time student, but I'm not sure how much I plan to include on here. Partly because some of what I will be using some faith-based curriculum, so I know that that cannot be included. And so, so I did an estimate of how I thought the time was going to be broken up because it's 20 hours for a first grader, correct?
It is 20 hours for basically for first grade, second grade, and third grade.
Right, okay. So I did estimate that, but I know some of this won't end up, like I have a Bible curriculum, and I know that won't end up on wings.
All right. Just for sake of supposing, let's pretend that she's going to be a 90% student. Let's say she's going to be part-time. Okay, and maybe you'll decide differently, and that's fine. But for now, let's say part-time. 90%, a 0.9 student, 90% of 20 is 18 hours. Good. And so let's say that we're going to have 18 hours on here because you've decided you want her to be a part-time student. Let's just pretend that, okay? Okay. So 18 hours. What hours and what classes are going to comprise that 18 hours? You have it kind of mapped out here?
I do.
Okay. So let's, I don't know, Sai, if you can get this or not, but you've got 2.5 hours of Bible, and that's perfectly good. Obviously, that's not going to go on here. You've got math, 2.5 hours, reading and writing for 7 hours, science for 3, PE for 3, and art for 2. So if we just take math and reading, writing, and science and PE and art, we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7 is 15, and 2.5 is 17.5. Just for the fun of it, let's round that off to 8. Let's make
math 3 hours.
Would that work for you? Okay, so let's plan on math being 3 hours then. And now you've kind of got your game plan in place to make up your 18 hours. That's excellent. So, what subject would you like to do first? What should we work on first? Okay, math. And you have got that already slated as a 3-hour thing, so that works well. And what would you like to call it? Math? Or math class? Or math is fun? Or I love math? Or what would you like to call it?
Math sounds good.
Very creative. Okay, just decent. All right. Select a subject. Obviously, that will be mathematics. Select a highly qualified teacher. That will be your advisor, if you have one, and you will in short order, I think. But let's just for now pretend I'm your advisor, and we'll pick me. And then we come to the first box, and that's class description. Okay. Now, you kindly did this ahead of time. I want everybody to understand and know that we have a sheet, a help sheet in doing this, and it is located on our website, put there by Mr. Ross. There's a slightly newer version, and it's not there. It will be there soon, but the old version is very similar to it. And this is that sheet. And it says the following. Josiah, if you could zoom in and make sure that this is visible, please, if you're not already. This is our best understanding in August of 2012, how to make a brief, good WSLP and meet expectations of Washington State. We need to do both. We need to meet your needs as a parent, so you have a plan during the school year. A plan is a good thing. And that's what this is, her math plan for the year. And we also need to meet Washington's expectations. They are funding this after all. And they do have a right, a reasonable right to say there's some basic good things you need to do in these, and Washington is doing that. So we want to meet your needs, and we want to keep them satisfied that we are being reasonable with their money and their educational support as well. Note, underlined statements in this document must be a part of each WSLP, off-site and on-site for that matter, class. So when we hit something that's underlined right here, this needs to be a part of it. Okay, that's our clue. So we're going to start off with class description, which we already noted was the first box. I am going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it right there.
Okay.
I like simple. How about you?
I do too.
I do too. So that's simple. And it says this year-long class includes the mastery of one or more ELers. We've been putting that in these for years. It covers the blank grade. Now we're going to have to take that parentheses out. We're going to put first grade And subject obviously comes out, and we're going to put math content noted below.
Okay.
That is a very brief class description. It doesn't have to be any fancier or longer than that.
Okay.
Some people are telling their folks to make them longer than fancier than that. We're not. Okay. Next, learning materials.
Okay.
What do you suppose that is about?
What you're using, like books and
Talk to me.
websites. And so I plan to use Math Mammoth, first grade math.
Excellent. Let's go back to our sheet a minute, and let's now look what it says for learning materials.
Right.
It says list all learning materials used in this course, not faith-based, as follows. Just text, websites, manipulatives, and list them. This isn't fancy, it's not complicated, it's not difficult, but we will do that. So let's open with the sentence that says learning materials used for this course include but are not limited to, I sound like a lawyer, don't I?
You do.
Okay. What would you like to have here?
Okay, so I'd put the Math Mammoth.
Okay, so we'll put text.
You have test.
I do have test, don't I? Thank you. Text, M-A-T-H, M-A-M-M-O-T-H, for first grade. That looks better capitalized. Good. What else?
And then I put down their website, so I don't know if that...
Website is www.homeschoolmath.com.
Net.
.net. Thank you. And I put a space there. Okay, this is first grade math. What else do you have? Anything?
And then I wrote manipulatives.
Manipulatives. We'll just put multiple because there's many things that you may use for that.
And that's all I have right now.
All right, and that's perfectly good.
Okay.
Anything complicated there?
Nope.
I love simple. Now it's going to get a little bit more complicated. We're going to go to learning goals and performance objectives. What do you suppose that's about?
About what you hope your child will learn.
Good. It's good to have the end in mind. Now there are several different approaches that you can take to doing this, and on this direction sheet located on our website are the different directions that you can choose, and we're going to go through each one of these as we can. The first one says GLEs can be selected directly from Wings. All right, so let's go back, and here is that GLE chooser.
Okay.
And we're going to go to first grade, and we're going to go to category math, K-8 math. Here are learning outcomes and learning goals that the state suggests a first grader should cover during the course of the year. Did you perchance have any opportunity to look these over? Did you check this out at all?
I didn't get a chance. I've looked at, I mean, I'm familiar with working with GLEs because I've taught before, but I didn't get a chance to look at this because I'm not on the system.
Okay.
But,
so one of the options you can do as a parent is you can look through these and you can say, you know what, basically that's what it's first grade math. That's what I'm teaching my child. If you want to do that, you can select all of them by clicking this button. Then every one of those GLEs, or you could call them ELers if you want to, but they're a little different, but each one of those will automatically become part of her student learning plan, and that's what you're saying you're going to teach your daughter. Or you can individually choose them. Choose some, maybe you want to choose the first two, but maybe, you know, I don't cover that third one. I don't want that one. I'll do the fourth and the fifth, yep, and you can do those. All right? But if we wanted to, we could select all, or we can select none and go, I'm not interested in that. And then I saved none of them. So that's the first option.
okay.
Second option, and if, by the way, if you do that first option and you would save all of them, for all intents and purposes you're done. That will cover it. But then really you're saying, I will teach that content this year, and that's perfectly good. Another option that you can pick is
So
not...
I'm assuming you can select all, but then go down and deselect anything that you're not planning to do? Okay, that's probably the route I'll take.
That would be fine. So you're saying click select all,
But then go
look
through it,
through and then if you don't
it's the
want
same
one,
thing. Right.
you click on it again and the little check mark would come off.
Right.
I think that would work fine.
Okay. Because I'm assuming most of it will end up being stuff that I cover, but I want to make sure that I'm not.
Those GLEs are pretty common middle road stuff.
Right.
They're not way out in left field or right field somewhere.
Right.
If your daughter's a very, very strong first grade math student, you might find that it's a little bit beneath her and it might not be appropriate. If math is a struggle for her, you might find some of them are a little bit above her, but look through them and you decide and you go as you see fit, okay? All right. Another option you can take is learning objectives from all grade levels, and many subjects are at this sister PPP's site. There are a number of PPPs that have put, Saya, meet with Megan, will you, when she comes in? Thank you so much. A number of PPPs have put suggested learning objectives and things for different subjects and different grade levels. Here is one right here. This site has one. It happens to be a good PPP, I think well of them and of their work. And if I go to their site, I happen to be in first grade language arts. And these are the same categories that site has suggested. And they're a little bit more specific about what they're asking parents to do, to be honest with you. A little bit more must-includes than we have. Okay? But you'll look down first grade language arts or the math one if you select the math one, and you'll find learning goals and performance objectives. They have a pretty long list there of things that if you're interested or want to choose them, you can go to that site. There are other PPPs around that also have a suggested thing like this, and you can look around if you want.
So then you could just copy and paste from them as well?
You can. We could, if this were math, pretend it's math, we could go boom, 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 copy, and we can copy and paste theirs right into our template.
Okay.
On Wings. Okay?
Okay.
So that would be option 2. Option 3, listed on this sheet, says you can take the table of contents of your text and list chapter by chapter or subject by subject or whatever what your student will be learning and know and be able to do by the end of the year. The table of contents really does kind of tell you what you'll be teaching them during the course of the year. And you can say, my student by the end of the year will be able to, you know, whatever it shows you in the table of contents, or the learning outcomes the scope and sequence that text might produce, or whatever. That's a great way. That will be very much exactly, probably more exactly in some ways than these other sites will be, what your child's going to learn. Does that make sense? Okay. Fourth option, D, you can take what you know you want your child to learn or be able to do and state that learning in concrete, measurable terms. There may be some subjects that you can't find a nice, easy thing with, like maybe social studies. Maybe you're going to study Washington State history or the history of Oak Harbor, the geography. You're going to study our town. Now, you're not going to find any printed up thing that will probably cover that as well as you might like. So you might just simply, okay, what do I want to teach Lily in first grade social studies this year about the town? Well, we're going to cover the Dutch folks, and we're going to cover the man that this island was named after, and we're going to cover the native peoples and the native animals and berries and things that were here, and we're going to cover whatever we're going to cover. But you'll be able to put that down there in terms that mean something to you, and that will become your your plan for the year.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, for first grade math, what are you thinking? A, B, C, or D? What are you going to? What are you looking at?
I'm probably going to do A.
Okay. Pick and choose from the given GLEs that are on the Wings site.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Questions about learning goals and objectives, and what your options and what you can do there are.
No, seems pretty clear.
Excellent. All right, let's go on with number 4. Learning activities. Talk to me. What do you think that this would be about?
The types of things you're going to do to accomplish the learning.
And your plans for first grade math are?
A combination of worksheets and hands-on activities. Primarily.
Okay. Excellent. Let's look what it says on our help sheet located on the website. Indicate what the student will do, what they will do. What does Billy or Susie or Lily do every day to learn this stuff and use these things? You know, what do they do every day? Well, in math class, your primary activity is going to be the student's going to have a math lesson every day with their teacher, i.e. you.
Right.
Okay? Well, there's nothing wrong with saying that. In fact, that's probably the most important thing to say. They will do one lesson per day with mom or dad 5 days a week, as an example. That is the learning activity that they'll be involved in. Maybe they'll do independent practice of math facts, 15 minutes a day on their own. Maybe they'll work on a website. Maybe they'll do math with little sister, big brother, grandpa, grandma, whatever the case would be. All right?
Okay.
But don't be apologetic about being just simple. Hey, we're going to have a math lesson every day. You know, we're going to sit at the kitchen table, and once a day, for 30 minutes, we're going to do math. And we'll cover a lesson a day. Okay? Indicate what they will do. Good samples, including a time word. You notice this time word thing? There's a time word in each one of these samples, and we talked about that as well. A math lesson per day, 4 days a week, whatever the case would be. All right, I'm seeing an underline section. So we're going to want to include that. We're going to cut and paste. If you'd like to leave this running and get the other camera and taper, that would be great, which they may be on a time crunch. Thank you so much, Saya. We're going to cut and paste that, and we're going to go over here and learning activities. We're going to start out. Actually, this is at the end of it. It says doing the above, so we're going to paste then above there. We're going to put what she's going to do. Lily, is it 2 L's?
Just one.
So actually 2. One to start,
right.
one to mid, right?
Correct.
Lily will complete 1 math lesson per day with her teacher. Now let's put in parentheses mom or dad. She will also work with manipulatives. Now those are listed earlier, so we can include that. And we'll also spend time on the web site or web sites noted.
I probably won't have her on the websites actually. But
all right, then you take that off of there.
Right.
Can you think of anything else that would belong on there?
I think that pretty much covers it. Do we need to identify how much time we're doing per day, or is it fine to just say we're spending time each day?
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of schedule or time word in there, and so we do a day. Yeah, 30 minutes a day doesn't hurt, but you know what?
But it's not necessary.
No, we cover that down here. Time will come in later, so that's a good question. I think that we can hit that later.
Okay.
We're now down to the last one, or the second to last one. Learning activities are done. I think that's fairly clear. Estimated weekly, progress criteria. How do you know that she's got it? How do you know that she learns what she learned? Here is our section on our handy assist sheet that covers that. How do you know if your child has learned? This is important. It is the intent of this section. Start it out with the following. This is underlined. We know what that means. In fact, I can see that this whole section is underlined, so I'm just going to cut and paste or copy all of this. And it says the following. It is our goal that the student will accomplish approximately 10% of the goals of this course each month, September through June. Okay. That's not rocket science. Okay. The level of mastery expected is 70% or higher. Now some parents I know often put 80 or even 90% here, and they're welcome to do that. If you want to change that to 80 or 90, you go, girl. That works.
Okay.
Methods of evaluation will include, but are not limited to, there's that lawyer talking again, observation and or correction of daily and or weekly work in progress. Is that not?
Key thing. Yeah. That's probably primarily what I'll be doing with her at this level. So, because it builds on itself, and so, I mean, it's easy to tell if she's getting it or not. So.
Outstanding. That is the most important one. And in a class that you teach at home, that this is underlined in the section that we copied and pasted from. It's not now, but it was then, and it needs to be there. Weekly discussion of assignments, readings, and writings. Okay, now that might not be right.
Yeah, I don't think that part was underlined actually.
It wasn't.
It'd be more relevant to a different subject matter,
but it's something that probably will a weekly discussion of assignment, it's probably not possible to teach her math every day without having that.
Right, true. True.
So it's probably a good thing to include, and you're right, it's not underlined. The next one is a portfolio kept of student work at least weekly. So there'll be some samples that she keeps of her work on a regular basis. Okay. Now beyond that, can you think of anything else that you're going to do to evaluate her progress and to make sure that she's
I think that's the primary thing, because at this point I don't know that I'll do any testing with her because in this subject area, because the content is, she'll be working on increasingly more complex addition and subtraction and telling time and counting money, and those things will be, if you have your 1-digit addition down, you have to have that to move on to 2-digit. And so there's not really a need for a test other than being able to move on to the next thing there.
And it is first grade math.
Right.
You might, some parents in first grade math might have little fun tests. Sometimes when you're first grade taking a test is cool.
Right.
Ooh, we get a math test this week. Or, a weekly math test if, test. Or timed math tests. Or, how many addition facts can you do in a minute? Or, whatever it would be. That's strictly up to you. This is certainly sufficient, especially at first grade.
Right.
At the older grade levels, the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, or the MAP test, or the Washington Student Learning Assessments, and other things would come into play. But for her grade level and whatever, this is probably sufficient. Okay? All right. Lastly, we've got estimated hours, and we already said 3. So that says 3 per week. Now, by the way, we have the Cedars Code stuff down here. That's really, when you open this up at home, that will not be there.
Because it's from Coopville, correct?
Well, actually, that's because we're entered in as me, and I'm an administrator of the program.
Gotcha.
So parents aren't going to bump into this code thing, I'm pretty sure. That's not something you'll have to worry about. But this pretty much covers the basics, I think, for the creation of offsite classes.
Okay.
Questions or issues?
I think that covers it. What's the credit down here? Is that?
That's a great question. If a parent is a parent of a student who is doing a credit class for high school.
Like high school, okay.
And it's off-site. Maybe they're doing a PE class away from school, which they can do. Okay. Then when they create this originally, this document, this off-site class, and this mark right there, 0.5, because these are done by semester, so they'll only ever choose really 0.5. This becomes their credit contract. This is the advisor saying, if you do these things above and do them well and meet the requirements of the class, just like an in-site class, like in a regular class, a student has requirements they need to meet, things they need to do. If they do that, then this will be the credit that you earn. So that's a great question.
Okay.
Then when you're done, you submit that to your advisor. That means this has got my approval. These are the plans I want to do. And then your advisor gets it, and they're going to look through that. Most of the time, they're going to say approve, and they're just going to click it off. Sometimes they might say, you know what, there's no mention of a weekly schedule or a monthly schedule. There's no time word in there. We need that. Or they might say something else. But for the most part, with your approval, submitting it, their approval, clicking it off, then it becomes part of the official student learning plan of the student.
Okay.
Know also, please, that this can change later on. If you want to add a website, if you want to change texts, if you want to something, know that that can be done.
Okay.
All you do is contact your advisor. They'll send it back to you. You'll say, I'd really like to use this math text instead, and that can be done.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for doing it. I appreciate it.
All right.
And I think we're set.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Mao, you got a minute?
Sure. Come on inside. What can I help with?
Oh, I was just thinking, my brother and sister, they're both out of the house. They got their lives going already, and I was just wondering, like, who's gonna help me through life when I'm all by myself, and what's the next step? And all my friends already have what they want to do planned out, and I don't.
Kind of scary, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of glad that you find that a little bit scary. You know, it's exciting, but there's a part to it that it should hit you that way, and that's okay. You're going to get good answers and good help from that at home. You're going to get good answers and good help with that at maybe at church, and you're also going to get good answers and good help with that at school. Now, Josiah, we've got some help for you at school, and specifically they're called voice sessions. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, I've heard that word around.
What word?
Wuss?
No, Josiah, it's not wuss, it's voice. WOICE stands for, or deals with, the Washington Occupational and Informational System. It's designed to help students like you do things like look at the talents and abilities you have, look at careers and opportunities that are out there for you, for education and for careers, and to try to match those two things: who you are, what are your strengths, and what's out there. It stores information, it helps you get ready for the day when you'll be applying to colleges. Basically, it's there to help answer all of those kinds of questions that you just asked me a minute ago.
These voice sessions, this sounds something like I should be doing. Should my parents come with me?
You bet. Parents are encouraged and welcome and really should be there with you. These are provided on Fridays at school for parents and students as well. The first one actually is scheduled for October 12th, and again, they're on Fridays when nobody's in school and you don't have classes scheduled. Keep an eye on the weekly bulletin, and they'll remind you when and where to be.
Thanks, Mr. Miles. The information was very informational, and yeah, I'll check into that.
Hi, my name is Riley Grace Borden.
And we are here in the home of Mr. and Dr. and Mrs. Borden with Riley Grace. Thank you. I didn't know that. Riley is National History Day national winner. Her category of her presentation was Junior Individual Performance. She is also a National Endowment for the Humanities Scholar. And Riley, I have a hard time even saying that without slowing down and speaking well, so that's obvious. When you win something that's that hard to say, you must have done something good, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Riley, why don't you tell us first off about your project, please?
Well, I started out reading a book called My Heart is on the Ground, about an Indian Native American child who was sent to a boarding school, and it was written by Anne Rinaldi, and it was a fictional book, but it was very interesting to me. And from there, I didn't think about that topic for a while. And then at the beginning of the school year, I decided to do National History Day. And I thought back about that book that I had read, and I thought, well, that would be an interesting topic. And I decided that it did fit the yearly theme, which it had to fit. And then I started researching it, and I did some more in-depth research. And then after that, I had to write a script because I chose to do a performance out of the different categories: website, documentary, paper.
That was great, Riley. Can we move on to the piece of, I'd like to know a little bit about, well, what you said was, I did. And I kept hearing and thinking to myself, boy, there's time, there's effort, that's digging, that's research. So what did this take in terms of days and hours and months? What kind of commitment did it take to pull this off?
A lot. I dance 5 days a week in Seattle, which is about 2.5 hours away from where I live. And so I had to spend a lot of time in the car where I'd usually relax or rest or do other schoolwork, researching, using the computer to learn more about my topic. And it meant extra time in the car getting to other places to meet people for interviews. And so it was even more time in the car and even more things on my mind, you know, history day, oh my gosh, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, oh my gosh, I forgot to write this, I forgot to do that, I need to get on the computer. And then it was just, if I could count the hours that I spent thinking about it too, I don't know, it would be millions.
That's a lot. Your schooling as a homeschooled student and your participation in Home Connection and all of that, what kind of a role did all of that play in being able to do this?
I'm very glad that I'm homeschooled and that I go to Home Connection, because without that I don't have the flexibility to go to ballet class and to be in a professional ballet training program and to do National History Day and academic competitions like that. And I don't think I'd be able to do those things without Home Connection and that flexibility that it gives me.
It sounds like you're way too busy for school.
No, not really.
Well, at least regular school, let's put it that way. Okay, so first place in the nation. I mean, when a student wins first place in the town of Oak Harbor, that's cool. And if they would take first place in the state, I mean, like, wow, that doesn't happen every day. But first place in the nation? Are you surprised?
Well, I never really thought about winning. When I first started National History Day, it was about, hey, I'm going to learn a lot, this is going to be a lot of fun. And it wasn't about, oh, I'm going to try to win the nation, you know. It was just, these skills are going to help me in my life, and that's already winning to me.
You know, even now, you speak well. I can hear you, and your voice gets this tone to it and this audibleness to it, and I can tell that there's training and there's benefits that matter. I would just like to, as the principal of Home Connection, I'd like to congratulate you.
Thank you.
I'd like to tell you how cool it is that I think you did this, and it's clear to me, having heard your presentation, but as I understand it, even then it was in the formation stage. By the time it got done and you were in DC doing this, I heard it was even way better than I was privileged to hear. So, and an incredible performance by a pretty incredible young lady. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, favorite website that I have liked to use would be Enchanted Learning. I like to use it for primary grade levels, especially like with the younger kids, because the worksheets are super easy to use. Reproducibles are awesome for science and language arts, and the reason mainly that I like to use it is it's a Home Connection paid website, so it's completely free, and they just have a good variety of worksheets and materials.
Howdy, Mrs. Jensen.
I'm doing well. How are you, Mr. Mann?
It's good to see you here, and August is sacrificial on your part. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Mrs. Jensen, we had a conversation last school year, a kind of one of those heart-to-heart conversations, a good conversation, and I recall it quite clearly. And I would appreciate if you wouldn't mind, even on video, sharing some of what we went over and what you said to me that day, please.
Yeah, no problem. You know, my main concern is pulling our children out of public school and coming into the homeschooling realm. That was something that my husband and I felt very strongly that we needed to do. But my fear and my husband's fear is that that our children's education is very important to us. It's very important. It's important that they have that education. And we wanted to make sure that there was someone holding us accountable, that there was a guideline, per se, of how to do it and what to do. And I was very scared that, that there would be holes, that we wouldn't be able to have a complete education, that I would miss something, or, all those things that...
Okay, we talked about that day, maybe a plan of attack to address some of those concerns and issues.
Yeah.
We talked about maybe what Home Connection could offer you in this coming school year to meet that need. And what do you recall of that, please?
I remember you mentioned the MAP testing, and that was something that my children would be tested in the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, and at the end of the year, and it would give me a roadmap telling me where they are now, here's where they need to be in the future, and how to get from point A to point B successfully to a point that I'm comfortable with their education and that they're really getting the most out of the time that I spend. You know, as a parent, my time is very valuable, and the time I spend with my children, that one-on-one time is very valuable. And I wanted to make sure I was making the most out of that time.
And there was a second component to that, in addition to the 3 times a year start, middle, and end of the year testing. What was that second component?
And that would be being able to meet with you, my advisor, and to be able to go over really, here's how this month went, here's where we are, here's where we're struggling, here's where we're succeeding, and be able to really have that accountability, like I said before, that we were looking for. Because it is a very scary thing to take the reins of your child's education and to be accountable and to be responsible. I think that's something that we talked about, that when you're in the public school, someone else is responsible. You can blame someone else if it goes wrong, but when it's me, it's just my fault if it goes wrong. And so to be able to have that accountability with you, to sit before someone and have that support, and someone to say, you're doing well, you know, keep going, you know, you can do it, and that encouragement is something that I really look forward to and I'm excited about.
Okay. So let me ask you this, do you see that once a month meeting as a single parent, single advisor meeting, or a more of a group meeting where people who are on this track, so to speak, taking the MAP test 3 times a year and meeting once a month, where we share suggestions and concerns as a large group, or do you see this as a 2-person meeting?
You know, I think either would be very helpful. I think different people would be comfortable with different things. I think having the one-on-one interaction would be helpful in that, you know, there might be things that I might not be comfortable with sharing in a large group. But then having the large group would also give me the opportunity to hear lots of people's perspectives and opinions on things, and that can be really helpful too.
Okay. Well, I think initially we're looking a little bit more at the group session, so to speak, but it may evolve into something else if that's not meeting the needs. Mm-hmm. So I just want to be clear and honest about that. So you are interested at this point in being a part of the MAP testing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Right now I am gathering names, and we are going to get that group of kids that wants to do this, and it's open to students who want to be a part of this from kindergarten on up. So it is available to students, and parents who are interested in this should contact me. Just email me directly right now. As it's August, I'll be in school more as time goes by, and so stopping in or phone calling would be fine. But if a parent would like in on this, so to speak, now is the time to act and get in touch with me as soon as possible, frankly. I would say at a minimum by the end of August. I need to know that you're interested. Is there any other information that we need to share about this coming testing that you can think of, or do you think that pretty much covers it?
No, I just think that for parents who are looking for that accountability and even that resource of just knowing what your children need. Sometimes it can be so hard to, you know, you think your children are of course perfect and wonderful and the smartest things ever, and this is more an objective way to look at how are they really doing. What are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and how can I as a parent educator address those issues in a way that's going to be successful and allow them to succeed in a way that they're meant to be, because I think, you know, all children have that ability to just be super successful, and as a parent and as an educator now, you know, that's our responsibility to help them reach that point. And I think the MAP testing is something that for me and for my family will help us reach those goals that we have for our children.
So long talk made short, sign me up?
Absolutely. First on the list.
All right.
Two parents offered to share sites but were unavailable for taping. First, Miss Manny shares that National Geographic Kids We use the site mainly for science-related learning and activities, and also enjoy the beautiful photography offered there. Second, Ms. Casey tells us that we used a free piano lesson site last year that we just loved. It's a great intro to music theory for the young ones, whom the cost of lessons, vs what they take away, is sometimes debatable. The website is www.freepianolessonsforkids.com, and the 4 is a number 4, not F-O-U-R. And the online teacher is Mr. Hoffman. He has at least 50 video lessons that kids can do online, and there's also some paperwork and games that he offers for a very small price. Thank you, Mrs. Manny and Mrs. Casey.
And that piano site again was?
www.freepianolessons4kids.com.